Have you ever gotten a text like this? Can you send me $500? I need it tomorrow. It's urgent. Now imagine that text came from your mom. No details, no warning, just pressure. That's exactly what happened to one woman. Let's call her Erica. She's already doing everything right, sticking to a tight budget, chipping away at debt, living below her means. Then the text came. It wasn't just a request. It was emotional leverage, guilt, obligation, family drama, all in one late-night message. Erica's mom wanted money to pay a lawyer fee, supposedly tied to an inheritance battle back in Brazil. The catch? No paperwork, no confirmed timeline. Just send money now. Saying no isn't easy, especially when it's your mom, especially when you come from a culture where saying no is considered disrespect. But Erica did it. She said no. And that single decision might have saved her months, maybe years, of financial setbacks. Here's why. Why people-pleasing keeps you poor. Let's break this down. Erica didn't know how much the estate was worth. Her family had a messy history with money. She had already gone into debt before by trying to help. Now she and her husband were finally on the right track. They were in what we call baby step 2, paying off all non-mortgage debt. And this unexpected request, it would have undone their discipline. That's the pattern. Saying yes to emotional pressure often means saying no to your future. It's not about being selfish. It's about being wise. You can't help people by joining their chaos. Erica knew her parents had assets they could sell. She knew her mom had gone shopping days before asking for $500. She knew the legal urgency was suspicious, vague, poorly timed, and emotionally manipulative. So she asked questions. Her mom stopped replying. Classic tactic: silence as punishment. Boundaries matter more than inheritance. Let's be honest. Most people don't lose wealth by making one huge mistake. They lose it $500 at a time. Here's the math. Let's say the inheritance was $30,000. That's before taxes, before legal fees, before drama. It might never materialize. Chances are it's not worth it. In fact, saying no protected Erica more than that money ever could. Real example: the fake gold mine. Here's something similar that happened to a friend of mine. He got an offer from a distant cousin, said they inherited a gold mine in Peru. They just needed help with the legal process. Sound familiar? He wired $3,000 to a so-called lawyer. You know the rest. Fake papers, ghost contacts, vanished cousin. That $3,000 was never recovered. He paid the price for trusting too quickly. Emotional emergencies aren't real emergencies. Erica's husband said it best: don't join their crazy. It's hard to watch families struggle, but when someone else's lack of planning becomes your financial emergency, that's not love. That's manipulation. If someone genuinely needs your help, they'll be clear about what they need, give proper notice, offer repayment terms, accept your no if it's not possible. Erica's mom did none of that. How to say no with grace. Saying no doesn't mean being cold. Here's a script you can use. I love you. I want to help. But we're not in a place right now to contribute. Maybe once we're in a stronger position, we can revisit this. It's simple, respectful, firm. Another one? I can't take on that expense right now, but I hope it works out. And this one's my favorite. No. That's a complete sentence. Build the muscle of saying no. You don't need to justify every decision. You don't owe anyone access to your bank account just because they're family. Every time you say no to chaos, you say yes to your peace, your goals, your financial future. Mini checklist. When someone asks you for money, ask yourself, is this urgent or just poor planning? Is this request clear or vague? Do I fully understand what this money is for? Can I afford it without sacrificing my goals? Is there a better way to help? If you can't check every box, the answer is no. Now's a question for you. What would you do if someone in your family asked you for $500 tomorrow? Would you say yes, or would you protect your future? Tell me in the comments, and while you're here, don't forget to hit like if this message hit home, subscribe to The Passive Path for real-life money lessons, and turn on notifications so you never miss a drop of wisdom. You're not alone. We're walking this road with you, and trust me, this is just the beginning. What if the key to building real wealth isn't earning more, but saying one word? That word is no. Not no to opportunity, not no to ambition, but no to guilt-driven giving, no to manipulative money demands, no to saving others while sacrificing yourself. If that's hard to hear, you're not alone. One of the biggest money traps people fall into isn't overspending, it's overgiving. Not generosity, not kindness, but the habit of saying yes out of fear. Let me show you how this one word can save your future, your sanity, and your family's financial legacy. Saying no feels cold, especially to parents, especially to people you love. But here's the truth. Saying yes when you can't afford to only leads to one thing: resentment and regret. Erica's mom texted her, demanding $500 for a legal fee related to a family inheritance in Brazil. Not a conversation, not a heads up, just pressure. And it wasn't a one-time thing. Her parents had pushed her into debt before. Now she's married. She has 2 small kids. She and her husband are finally on the path to financial freedom. They've been working hard to pay off debt. They're on a budget. They're finally stable. And then comes the ask. Not a clear explanation, not even a specific total. Just, send $500. I might need more tomorrow. That's not support. That's emotional blackmail. Why you feel guilty even when you're right. Cultural expectations matter. In some families, especially in immigrant or tight-knit communities, saying no to your parents is seen as betrayal. But this isn't about disrespect. It's about boundaries. Erica's parents had assets they could sell. They just didn't want to. Erica and her husband had sold everything they could, worked extra jobs, made real sacrifices. They weren't saying no out of greed. They were saying no to stop the cycle. That's what wealth building looks like sometimes. Saying no now so your kids don't have to later. Saying no isn't selfish, it's strategic. If Erica had said yes, here's what would have happened. $500 gone. More requests coming, zero control over the outcome, emotional exhaustion, no inheritance anyway. Let's be honest, inheritances like that rarely go smoothly. Between legal fees, family drama, and market value changes, Erica might never see that money. So why bet your piece on it? Instead, she said no. Not maybe later, not I'll try. Just no. And that's what changed everything. If you're facing pressure like Erica, here's a phrase you can use. I love you. I understand this matters to you, but I can't do this under these circumstances. I'm focused on getting financially stable for my family. Simple, clear, no room for guilt. If that feels harsh, remember, people who don't respect boundaries always react badly to them. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means your boundaries are working. But what if the request is bigger? What if the person asking is really struggling? What if it's not your mom, but your own mistakes catching up? That's where we're going next. Keep watching to learn how to spot financial manipulation, how to protect your peace, and how to turn down guilt without burning bridges. And hey, if this already helped you, hit that like button. Drop a comment below if you've ever said yes when you knew you should have said no. Don't forget to subscribe to The Passive Path because we're just getting started. Part 2, Spotting Financial Manipulation. You ever get a message from someone you love asking for money and something just feels off? No details, no plan, just pressure. That's not a request. That's manipulation. In this section, we're going to talk about how to spot it, stop it, and protect your money from guilt traps. How emotional manipulation works with money. Financial manipulation doesn't always look like someone stealing your card or conning you on the street. Sometimes it's quiet, subtle, wrapped in emotion. Here's how it often sounds. If you loved me, you'd help. I need this right now. Don't ask questions. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't urgent. You're not given time. You're not given info. You're only given pressure. Erica, the caller we met in part 1, experienced this firsthand. Her mom didn't explain the legal process. She didn't confirm the amount. She didn't plan ahead. She just texted 12 hours before a contract signing, "Send $500 now." That's not how serious adults handle finances. The 3 red flags of financial guilt traps. If someone asks you for money and these 3 things are true, step back. 1. Lack of clarity. You can't get a straight answer on the amount, the timing, or the reason. 2. False urgency. It's happening tomorrow. Send money now. They're hoping to bypass your logic with panic. 3. History of poor boundaries. This person never respects a no. They've asked before, you've paid before, and it never ends. If all 3 apply, you're not helping them, you're funding their chaos. This means instead of providing support, you're enabling their uncontrolled behavior and financial instability. But what if they're family? It's harder when it's your mom or dad or someone who raised you. But here's the truth. Loyalty is not a license for dysfunction. Love doesn't mean you erase your common sense. Especially if you're building a better future for your own family. On The Passive Path, we believe this. You are responsible to your family, not for them. Erica's husband had to remind her, we worked for 15 months to fix our finances, we're not going backward. You need people like that in your corner. People who help you stay grounded when guilt shows up in disguise. How to respond to manipulative requests. Try saying this. I understand this feels urgent, but I can't commit without details and notice. I hope it works out, but I can't be the solution this time. Or this, we're in a tight financial stage. Right now, we have to say no. Both are clear. Both are kind. Both protect your future. But what if you're being guilt-tripped by yourself? Here's the twist. Manipulation doesn't always come from others. Sometimes it comes from you. You feel guilty for earning more than your family. You feel guilty for saying no when they're struggling. You feel responsible for fixing things you didn't break. That guilt will keep you broke. What happens when you let guilt run your wallet? Next, we're diving into what happens when you give in to that guilt. The cost isn't just money. It's peace, freedom, and time you can't get back. And we're going to show you real examples of how to break that pattern. without burning bridges. If this resonates with you so far, tap that like button, subscribe to The Passive Path, and share your experience in the comments. We're building a community that's not just debt-free, but drama-free. Part 3. The cost of enabling bad behavior. You ever feel like helping someone just keeps making things worse? You're not being stingy. You're being drained. That's the danger of enabling. In this part, we're going to look at the hidden cost of constantly rescuing others, and why the best way to love someone might be to stop saving them. Enabling looks like help, but it's not. Let's break it down. Enabling is when you pay someone's bills, but they never change their behavior. You step in during every crisis, but they keep creating new ones. You sacrifice your own goals, but they make no sacrifices themselves. Helping becomes enabling the moment you care more about their outcome than they do. You're not solving the problem. You're delaying the consequences. That's not generosity. That's a trap. A real-life example. The parents who could sell but won't. Back to Erica. Her family had assets they could sell to fund the legal process, but they didn't. Instead, they turned to her, someone in baby step 2, trying to be debt-free, with 2 babies and no financial margin. Why? Because they knew she cared. And they counted on her guilt. Enabling says, "I'll fix this for you." Boundaries say, "I trust you to figure it out." And that's what Erica finally did. The emotional cost of always saying yes. Here's what enabling costs you: lost savings, delayed progress, resentment that builds under the surface, and eventually, burnout. You start to wonder, why am I always the one fixing everything? Why can't they take care of themselves? Why does helping them make me feel worse? If that's you, it's time to step back. Flip the script from rescuer to leader. You don't have to stop caring. You just have to stop carrying people who won't walk. Here's a better way to help. Offer guidance, not money. Share a budgeting app, not a bailout. Pay for a career coach, not their overdue phone bill. Help them build a plan, not avoid consequences. That's how you lead without enabling. Don't let culture guilt you into debt. In some families, especially where culture is tight and generations depend on each other, saying no can feel shameful. But here's the truth. You can respect your roots without repeating your family's mistakes. On The Passive Path, we see this a lot. The first person to break the cycle is always the one who gets the pushback. It's not personal. It's the cost of change. The math doesn't lie. One couple on The Ramsey Show had over $200,000 in debt. They had 11 credit cards, 2 car loans, medical debt, a 401k loan, a home equity line, and more. They called it checking every naughty box. But they changed. Not by enabling, by facing it head-on. They sold a truck. They cashed in an old life insurance policy. They cut their lifestyle to the bone. They lived on bargain groceries. They made it a challenge, a mission, and 25 months later they were debt-free. No more enabling others or themselves, just action. What if the problem isn't someone else? Here's the hard truth. Sometimes the biggest enabler is you. You let yourself off the hook. You rationalize spending. You say yes to bad habits over and over. In the next part, we're going to talk about the inheritance illusion. Why betting on a future windfall can wreck your present reality. Stick around for that. And if this section opened your eyes, hit that like button and subscribe to The Passive Path. Your breakthrough starts the moment you stop rescuing everyone else and start rebuilding yourself. Have you ever made a financial decision based on money you don't even have yet? I'll pay this off when I get my bonus. I can cover that later. There's an inheritance coming. This debt is fine. The house will sell one day. That's the inheritance illusion, one of the most dangerous lies in personal finance. It's the belief that your future windfall will save you from your present reality. And here's the truth, it rarely does. According to the Federal Reserve, the average inheritance in the U.S. is just over $46,000. But here's the twist. Most people overestimate what they'll receive. Legal fees, family disputes, asset taxes, delays, real estate downturns. That $100,000 house, it becomes $30,000 after costs, and that's if you actually get your share. Erica's case is a perfect example. She was told she might receive 30% of a family home's value, maybe $30,000. But there was a fight, legal chaos, family drama, unclear paperwork. Suddenly, that $30K became maybe someday and cost her emotional energy in the present. She had two options: spend now and hope to be reimbursed someday. Walk away and protect her own peace. She chose wisely. The real cost of betting on a windfall. When you count on money that doesn't exist yet, you justify bad spending now. Stay in toxic dynamics longer. Postpone real financial discipline. Give up control over your life. This mindset keeps people stuck. It's not just inheritances either. People bet on lawsuit settlements, insurance payouts, lottery winnings, and cryptocurrency rebounds. Here on The Passive Path, we say it like it is. If the money isn't in your bank account, it doesn't exist yet. And until it does, you can't plan your life around it. How to break the illusion. Here's what to do instead. Build your budget based on today's reality, not tomorrow's maybe. Treat inheritance as a bonus, not a rescue plan. Create wealth through your actions, not other people's assets. Randall and Renee, a couple featured on the show, didn't wait for a miracle. They paid off $118,000 in 5 years by budgeting together, living below their income, saying no to things others considered normal. No windfall, no inheritance, just consistent decisions, and now they're free. But what if the money is real? What if someone's offering you part of a business? What if there's a legit opportunity, but you're not sure how to value it? In the next section, we'll break down how to properly assess an offer, know when to walk away, and how to avoid buying yourself a job. If this has opened your eyes, hit that like button and subscribe to The Passive Path. Don't plan your future on hope. Build it on truth. Let's keep going. Part 5. Helping without drowning. You want to help people. That's natural. But what do you do when helping them means sinking yourself? Let's be clear. Compassion isn't the same as codependence. And in this section, we'll show you how to support others without drowning in their problems. The danger of helping too soon. It's easy to step in and cover the bill, loan the money, or take over the responsibility. But when you do, something dangerous happens. The other person stops growing, and you start carrying weight that was never meant to be yours. Helping isn't always helpful, especially when it delays someone else's maturity. Jenny's story. When helping means self-harm. Jenny was recovering from PTSD and a traumatic brain injury. She was living on disability, fighting for justice in a caregiver case, and deeply behind on taxes. She wanted to do the right thing. She wanted to speak up about abuse. She wanted to fix her tax situation, but she couldn't afford to fix everything at once. She was drowning. She called into the show, worried that her unfiled taxes would hurt her credibility in the investigation. But here's what she needed to hear, and maybe you do too. Right now, you don't have the strength or the resources to fight every battle. Pick one. Fight for yourself first. That's not selfish. That's survival. You have to help yourself first. If your financial life is falling apart, you don't need to co-sign a loan. You don't need to go into debt for someone else's emergency. You don't need to crusade for every injustice. You need to get stable. Then you can help others. That's what Jenny was told. File your taxes, get a job, fix your living situation. Once you're standing, you can lead. The real win, sacrifice for progress, not image. Another couple on the show, Randall and Renee, paid off $118,000 in debt. It took 5 years. They were homeschooling, working multiple roles, carrying years of student loans. At one point, Renee even hid a collection letter from her husband because he was already overwhelmed. They started their journey just before 2020. Their first class was in person. The rest was on Zoom. They didn't quit. They didn't wait for help. They became their own help. And they did it without drowning, because they prioritized their goals together. You can't rescue anyone until you rescue yourself. Here's the rule. You help others best when you're not the one bleeding. Build your stability first. Cut unnecessary spending. Don't jump into every emotional emergency. Be honest about what you can handle. Focus on progress over pride. You're not a bad person for saying, "I can't help right now." You're a wise one. But what if the help comes with an offer? What if the person offering needs you to step up, like buying a business, taking over a branch, or leading a team? What if helping isn't financial, but professional? Next, we'll walk through how to evaluate those offers and make sure they don't become your next trap. If this helped you breathe easier, tap like, subscribe to The Passive Path, and share a moment you had to protect your peace. Part 6. Breaking the Spin Cycle. You ever feel like everything is crashing down all at once? Debt, family stress, health problems, anxiety, bills, deadlines. Your brain spins so fast you can't think straight. You're not lazy. You're not weak. You're just overloaded. And this section is about how to stop the spin and take back control, one step at a time. When life keeps throwing punches, Renee and Randall paid off $118,000 in 5 years. But what you didn't see in the headline was the pain in the process. They got hit with $10,000 in student loan collections. Renee had 2 neck surgeries and couldn't work for 2 years. They pulled their boys out of taekwondo, church camps, and amusement parks. They had to say no over and over again to things that felt normal, even necessary. At one point, Renee even hid the collections letter from Randall because he was already drowning in anxiety. That's what financial chaos does. It steals your peace, and then it makes you too scared to fight back. Why the spin cycle starts. The spin happens when your brain tries to solve everything at once. Here's what it sounds like. I need to fix my debt. I have to find a better job. I need to help my family. I can't let my kids miss out. What if things never get better? You get stuck between panic and pressure, and neither one helps you take action. How to break the spin? The only way to stop spinning is to slow everything down. Start here. Write it all down. Every worry, every bill, every deadline. Get it out of your head and onto paper. Circle what you can control. Can't fix the past. Can't control others. Can control your budget. Can control your next step. Pick one thing, just one. Tackle it, then move to the next. Build momentum. One win leads to the next. The tunnel gets brighter with every step. That's what Randall and Renee did. Renee picked up part-time work, even with medical recovery, homeschooling, and tutoring. Randall got focused. He tuned into The Ramsey Show. He joined a workplace where people talked about money openly, and the fog started to lift. The power of one decision. You don't need a magic plan. You need one decision. I'm going to do the next right thing, and I'm not going to quit. Renee started by taking Financial Peace University. Randall hesitated, but 6 months later, he was all in. They started listening to the show daily. They stopped waiting for perfect circumstances. They stopped looking for pity. And it worked. What if the offer looks like a shortcut? Sometimes the spin stops, and then a shiny opportunity shows up. A business deal, a branch takeover, a keys to the kingdom kind of offer. Next, we'll walk through a real-world example of someone offered the chance to buy the business they helped build, and whether it's worth the cost. This one's full of lessons you don't want to miss. So like this video, subscribe to The Passive Path, and tell us, what's one thing you're letting go of to stop the spin? Part 7. When taxes haunt you. You ever avoid something for so long that it starts living in your head? You don't check the mail. You ignore emails. You avoid official-looking envelopes. And the longer you wait, the bigger the fear grows. That's exactly what happens with unfiled taxes. In this section, we'll talk about why tax fear is real and how to take back control before it takes over your life. Jenny's story. Fear in the background. Jenny called in with a complex situation. She hadn't filed taxes since 2010. She was recovering from PTSD and a traumatic brain injury. She had recently lost her job after reporting workplace abuse. She was scared her unpaid taxes would ruin her chances of being heard in an official investigation. On paper, she was overwhelmed. But what really haunted her wasn't the taxes. It was the shame. She didn't feel like a responsible adult. She didn't want to look like a fraud. She was scared her past would ruin her present. Sound familiar? What the IRS actually cares about? Here's the truth. Not filing taxes is criminal. Owing taxes is not. If you voluntarily come forward, the IRS won't come after you with handcuffs. According to Dave Ramsey, just 2,576 people were criminally prosecuted last year, and those were for not filing, not for owing. So what should you do? File the last 3 years of returns. Work with a trusted CPA or tax expert. Set up a small payment plan, even if it's only $10 a month. Jenny thought she needed tax forgiveness. What she really needed was clarity. The emotional weight of uncertainty. When you avoid your taxes, they don't go away. They just sit there in your mind like a ticking clock. What if I owe $10,000? What if it ruins my credit? What if it affects my job? That stress compounds, especially when you're already dealing with trauma, job loss, or instability. You end up spinning, just like we discussed in Part 6. Why you need to start even if you're broke. Jenny only had $500 in the bank. She was unemployed. She was housing insecure, so she didn't file. But here's what she was told. You don't have to fix everything today, but you do have to take the first step. File what you can. Start with one return. Call a local CPA. Ask for help filing. Get on a plan. If you wait until everything is perfect, you'll never start. Your taxes don't define you. A late return doesn't erase your integrity. A repayment plan doesn't make you a failure. You're not a criminal. You're just stuck. And you can get unstuck. What if the trap isn't debt, but a business deal? Next, we'll explore something different. When someone offers you ownership of a business, it sounds like a dream, but is it really just buying a job? We'll walk through a real example where the math didn't add up, the deal was vague, and the pressure was real. If this part helped you breathe a little easier, like the video, subscribe to The Passive Path, and share your first step in facing your own financial fears. Let's say you faced the chaos. You've stopped the spin. You've filed the taxes. You've said no to guilt. You've set boundaries. Now what? This next step is quiet, simple. Often overlooked, but it's where true wealth starts. It's time to rebuild. Rebuilding isn't glamorous, but it's powerful. Stability isn't flashy. It's not a new house. It's not a business buyout. It's not a 5-figure vacation. It's groceries paid for. Rent on time. A small emergency fund in place. A used car with no payment. A calendar that feels light again. This is what real freedom looks like, and it's built brick by brick. The mindset that changes everything. Randall and Renee did the work. 5 years of discipline. $118,000 paid off. Saying no to church camps, amusement parks, and extras for their kids. They made meals at home, cut subscriptions, took pickup jobs at grocery stores, tutored on the side. It wasn't glamorous, but it worked. At one point, Renee said, "I'm sick of this. We're finishing it now." She started working full-time while still homeschooling, while still recovering from neck surgery. And within a year, they were done. You don't need motivation. You need a system. Most people wait to feel inspired, but rebuilding doesn't need hype. It needs a system. Budget monthly, with every dollar assigned. Track expenses weekly. Automate savings and bill payments. Cut the noise. Pause all non-essentials. Focus on your goals, not your neighbors. The Passive Path is all about building long-term peace, not short-term approval. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need a plan and the discipline to stick with it. Why this step matters more than any other? Rebuilding is the turning point. It's when your future finally shifts from survival to structure. From anxiety to peace. From wishful thinking to real momentum. You won't see it overnight, but 6 months in, you'll feel it. 12 months in, your numbers will show it. 2 years in, you'll be unrecognizable. That's what freedom sounds like. But what if you're offered ownership? In the next part, someone is offered the chance to buy out a real estate branch they helped build. It sounds like a dream, but is it a smart move? We'll walk through what makes a business deal worth it and what red flags you'll need to watch for before saying yes. If you're in the rebuild phase, like the video, subscribe to The Passive Path, and share one small win you've had in the last month. Part 9. living rich while others stay broke. Here's the truth no one talks about. Once you start doing well with money, other people will make you feel weird about it. You'll hear, "Come on, just spend a little. You're no fun anymore. Why are you so uptight about money?" This part is about how to stay committed to your goals when people around you still live paycheck to paycheck and want you to join them. Why people react when you level up. It's not always jealousy. Sometimes it's discomfort. When you change your habits, you challenge their excuses, you reflect what they're avoiding, you create a mirror they don't want to look into. You stop spending like them, and they take it personally. That's when the pressure starts. How Randall and Renee handled it. This couple paid off $118,000 in 5 years. But while they were saying no to restaurants, their friends were still going out. While they were couponing, others were upgrading, and they had to make hard calls. Pulling their kids out of Taekwondo, skipping fairs and church camps, eating at home every night. They didn't pretend it was easy, but they kept their eyes on something bigger: freedom. And now, their kids have a life. Their stress is gone. Their decisions are no longer ruled by debt. You don't have to convince everyone. Here's a powerful reminder. You don't need validation from people who aren't living the life you want. It's okay to say, "That's not in our budget right now." We're working toward a bigger goal. We've made different priorities. The people who love you will support that. The ones who don't, you don't owe them an explanation. Build quiet. Build strong. Real wealth isn't loud. It's not Instagram posts. It's not big flexes. It's not shiny cars. It's the quiet power of a paid-off house, no credit card stress, a fully funded emergency fund, being able to say yes only when you mean it. That's what we call the passive path. What if you have to lead while still building? Randall worked at Ramsey Solutions during their payoff journey. He was surrounded by people on the same mission. But that's not always the case. You might be the only one in your workplace doing this. You might be the first in your family to get debt-free. You might feel alone. But remember this. Every debt-free story started with someone who said, "I'm done living like this." You're not weird. You're focused. And your results will speak louder than your explanations. The final step. Lock in your freedom. You've said no. You've sacrificed. You've rebuilt. But how do you make sure you never go back? In the final part, we'll share 3 daily habits that lock in your progress, so you stay financially free for life. Like the video if you've ever had to say no to peer pressure. Subscribe to The Passive Path to stay surrounded by people walking the same journey. Part 10, Final Lessons and Daily Habits. Let's finish strong in Part 10. You don't win with money once. You don't win with money once. You win with money daily. That's the difference between people who stay free and those who fall back into the trap. Let's talk about the 3 habits that keep your future protected. Track your money before it disappears. Most people don't have a money problem. They have a tracking problem. Every dollar should be told where to go. Not just big purchases. Not just emergencies. Everything. Randall and Renee tracked every penny, even when they didn't want to, even when they were exhausted, even when it felt pointless. That discipline created clarity, and clarity creates progress. Build friction around spending. Make it harder to waste money. Delete shopping apps. Use cash for categories that get out of control. Put a waiting period on non-essential purchases. Financial success isn't about restriction. It's about intentional design. Remove the triggers. Break the autopilot. Build new systems. Keep your why visible. Debt freedom isn't a finish line. It's a new beginning. But without purpose, you'll drift. Write down what you're building. Write down what you're building. Peace, time with family, generational wealth, impact, options. Post it where you'll see it every day. That reminder keeps the fire alive. That's how you stay free. That's how you keep growing. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. Consistency beats intensity over time. Small habits, repeated daily. That's the path. No matter where you start, freedom is available. But you won't get there by accident. You get there by decision, one day at a time, $1 at a time, one brave no at a time. You are not behind. Each small step leads to freedom and growth. You are not too late. You are not alone. Stay focused. Stay intentional. Keep walking the passive path. If you've made it this far, you're already doing better than most. You're not just watching a video, you're changing how you think about money. Every small shift you make adds up. Every intentional step puts you closer to freedom. Stay on that path. Stay committed, and remember, this journey isn't just about money. It's about peace, purpose, and control over your own life. If this video helped you, like it. If you want more content like this, subscribe to The Passive Path. Comment below with your biggest takeaway. We read them all. And if you know someone who needs this, share it with them. You might just change their life too. Thanks for watching. Good luck with your next step. Feel free to check out the other videos on the channel for more. See you in the next one.